Good afternoon. I want to welcome you guys to our little lunch lecture for Friday, May the 7th. My name is Van Pearsall. I'm the Director of Development at the Coastal Land Trust. And so first, just want to make a couple announcements. One, we are recording the lecture, and we're also streaming it on Facebook Live today. Laura is going to drop some links into the chat there where you can find out more about how you can stay in touch with the Coastal Land Trust, how you can support the Coastal Land Trust with a donation, especially if you like the programs like the little lunch lectures and the things we've been doing here lately. And then let you know we're going to keep everybody on mute during the talk. So if you have a question, you can feel free to type it into the chat or save it to the end, and we'll have a little bit of time for questions and answer where you can unmute and ask your question at that point. So Ann Gibson is a marketing communications professional with more than 10 years of experience in the public sector. She has planned strategic communications with New Hanover County Schools, the city of Kannapolis and Harrisburg, North Carolina, and the Cabarrus County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Sometimes I have trouble pronouncing that county. Ann is a member of the 2021 class of Leadership Wilmington and was this year's coordinator for the Work On Wilmington project. Today she's here to talk about several projects completed around Wilmington last weekend with an emphasis on the work done at the Stanley Rehder Carnivorous Plant Garden. So if you would, please welcome Ann.
Thank you, Van. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here today. As Van mentioned, I am a graduate of Leadership Wilmington at the 2021 class. We had a special COVID experience for our year with Leadership Wilmington, but it was still a fantastic program. And so what I want to do today is tell you a little bit about our partnership with the NC Coastal Land Trust for Work on Wilmington Day. But first, I'll give you a little more background on how Work on Wilmington comes about each year and the Leadership Wilmington program in general. So starting out, you see this beautiful picture of the Stanley Rehder Carnivorous Plant Garden in full bloom. And this was our work site for Work on Wilmington on the fourth Saturday in April. So just a couple weeks ago. And it was one project out of over 30 across the New Hanover County as part of the Work on Wilmington Day. So Leadership Wilmington and Work on Wilmington is a program of the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce. And so here you see, if you're not familiar with the Chamber building, it sits on the Cape Fear River right downtown next to the Convention Center near the new park and amphitheater that's going to be opening soon. So fantastic location. And the Leadership Wilmington program is just one of many programs that the Chamber offers. It's a 10-month program. And you apply to be a part of the program each year. It runs from August, kicking off with a 2-day retreat through May graduation. And the program is structured so that you meet once a month for an all-day session where you delve deeply into a lot of the topics that are issues, challenges, and opportunities for our region. And the Work on Wilmington Day is essentially the capstone project where each person who is a part of the graduating class takes one project site, or sometimes more than one, and manages the work, all of the planning and the work and organizing the volunteers to execute one service project. And that was the work we did in the plant garden. So a little more about the Leadership Wilmington program. You can read here what the objective of the program is, but essentially it is developing a body of knowledge among future leaders of the community. So there's an application process, and it's an excellent opportunity to really get to know your community inside and out. So I would highly recommend it for anyone who's interested. You apply, applications are actually open now, and they're open through June 30th. So, and the link is there in the slide. So you apply, and as I said, it's about, each class is about 30. And it just really requires making that commitment to attending those monthly sessions, and then really participating and really delving deep into all of the material and developing that network across the community of arts, government, education, nonprofits, environmental. Each monthly session takes a deep dive into each one of these areas. So it just gives you this opportunity to develop this really wide network of contacts and knowledge of the region. And some of the things that we do beyond delving into the community topics, we also, a good portion of the program is devoted to developing your own leadership skills. So it's a great opportunity to really take a look at what your leadership philosophy is and how you can best activate your talents to move your team, whether it's at work in your workplace or whether it's in your volunteering, just moving teams and motivating people toward goals. So let me back up here. Okay, work on Wilmington. As I mentioned, it's the fourth Saturday in April. I believe it's been going on for over 5, maybe close to 10 years. It's only 4 hours, one Saturday morning from 8 to 12. But this year alone, there were 800 volunteers out in the community that morning at over 30 work sites. And you can go ahead and mark it off on your calendar for next year. I believe the date next year is Saturday, April 23rd. So this year, this was our site, and I'm sure many of you have already been to the Stanley Rehder Garden. If you haven't been, I'd just recommend it. Such a gem. It's a beautiful, beautiful place right off Independence. And this year, there were, of the 30 projects, some of the representatives, the nonprofits that were represented, Cape Fear River Watch, Glow Academy, numerous New Hanover County schools, First Fruit Ministries, Canines for Service, Good Shepherd Center, Wilmington Health Access for Teens, and there were many more. Projects included painting, landscaping, some construction, building decks, building outdoor classrooms, and many other repairs. The process starts in the fall with nonprofits applying for to be a part of Work on Wilmington, and the applications are reviewed, and then the each project site is visited by potential project leaders, those of us in the class, and then projects that are viable are moved forward into the final selection. For the day, you can volunteer as an individual, but you can also sign up to represent a group. We had groups from GE, Corning, many churches, many nonprofits, corporate entities like Panera Bread. We had a group from Miller Mott. We had some schools, some high school students who have high school service requirements. Some folks came down from Jacksonville and the military bases up there. And then a little bit more specifically about our work with the NC Coastal Land Trust. So we had some folks come from as far away as Cary and Raleigh, the Raleigh area, just to work in the garden that morning. So that was exciting. And if you've been out there, you know that the garden has all this unique vegetation, the purple pitcher plants, the sundews, sweet pitcher plants and yellow pitcher plants, and of course the Venus flytraps. And it's just, just amazing to me that you can come up into the garden not really notice anything. And then as you look closely, it's just everywhere. It's just amazing. So our challenge for the day was to widen and improve one section of the trail. So part of our work as the class with Work on Wilmington is to raise donations and funds to donate supplies. And so we were able to bring in 250 pavers, along with the tools and wheelbarrows and things that we needed to widen and improve and level the trail. So we divided ourselves into two teams. We had Team Sundew. They were responsible for the transplanting the vegetation to move it out of the way so it wouldn't get trampled, wouldn't get in the way of widening the trail. And then we had Team Flytrap. And these were the folks who moved our pavers, taking out the old pavers and then laying down the nice, level, wider new trail. And so we have our paver movers, lots of leveling and digging, and it's very boggy and wet in there. You wouldn't think it until you get in there. And so it's very easy to work with, but we had overcast day, just perfect conditions to be working in the garden. Lots of careful transplanting. And we had some brand new volunteers who had never worked with the Land Trust before. And then we had some I know who volunteered repeatedly over years and just couldn't have done the work without them. We had mother-daughter teams. And here we have the before and after pictures. So we were able to take a stretch of about 125 feet of trail, and we widened it to approximately 2 feet. And it's hard to tell from these two pictures, but you can tell we had a lot of irregular pavers and lots of places where there were no pavers at all. So had a more consistent trail, and where individuals who are visiting the garden can pass each other really wasn't possible before without going off trail and trampling the vegetation. So, and we leveled it out, eliminated a lot of the tripping hazards. And as I said, moved the more delicate carnivorous plants off trail so that they weren't going to get trampled. So we were also able to secure enough pavers that I think the thought was to be able to continue the work on additional parts of the trail in the near future. So that's exciting. And I know that the folks we were working with the Land Trust also felt like they were probably going to start work on one section for handicap accessible area so that people in wheelchairs might be able to get down into the garden and get closer to the plants. So that's exciting too. So hopefully start a little momentum behind those initiatives as well. So the important dates to remember if you want to get involved in the future, and I'd highly recommend it, just coming out for Work on Wilmington is a great experience and so many different opportunities to volunteer. But also if you want to consider applying for the 2022 class of Work on Wilmington, I believe they're going to be back in person. Our class had started to come back in person. We were socially distancing and wearing masks, but able to go because it's not just a classroom experience. You really go out and visit all of these sites. You go in the government buildings, you go to the Wilson Center, you go to visit just sites across the county and across the region to really get to know all of the initiatives and challenges. You take a cruise on the river to talk about the ecology and the environmental issues there in the port and along the river. So just can't recommend it enough. I think that it's a fascinating way to get to know the community and get involved. So Leadership Wilmington, the class of 2022, is accepting applications now. And I believe the closing date for that is June 30th. So if you're interested in applying, you can get in touch with the chamber and get more information and submit an application. Also, keep in mind that if you know any nonprofits that want to be involved in next year's Work on Wilmington, April 2022, the application opens for that opportunity in October. So nonprofits can apply and then go through that approval process to be involved, be a site for one of the projects next year. And then if you're looking to volunteer for Work on Wilmington next year, the best time to sign up is anywhere between January to March of next year. The volunteer sign up goes live, and then you can, as you sign up, if anyone on the lecture today signed up, thank you for volunteering this year. And you'll know that at the bottom of the application, you can request to be assigned to a certain project. And if you don't request a specific project, then you'll just be assigned to one of the work sites that day. And as I mentioned before, you can sign up a team. If you have a corporate group, a church group, a social group, you can sign up as a team and all be assigned to the same site. So yeah, I just encourage you to get involved, whether it's Work on Wilmington or the leadership program, both very worthwhile experiences. And I do know that Work on Wilmington happens to be the same day as the Flytrap Frolic, and Van might talk more about that. So we were discussing that during our work day out there, and talking about a good way to divide your time is volunteer early in the morning, get there at 8 a.m., do some work and Work on Wilmington, and then go right into the Flytrap Frolic from wherever you're working. So there is a way to do both, I think. So I'll be glad. Thank you again for having me here today, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thanks so much, Ann. Yeah, we used to have, this is the first year that the Land Trust has been able to participate and Work on Wilmington because we had Flytrap Frolic right on the same day. And I had told Ann before the lecture that we were a little bit jealous because we were there and there were a lot of folks out working on the elementary school. And we were like, gosh, it'd be great if we could, provide a project so they could help us as well. And it just ended up, we decided to move the Flytrap Frolic to June 5th. And so it was open for folks to go in there and do some work and help us get those pavers spread out, which we've been worried about for a while because of how thin it was getting through that walkway. So thank you guys. If anyone has a question they'd like to answer, you can come off mute. I see that Ann put one here in the chat. She's asking, what kind of things do you look for or consider in the projects that are selected?
Great question. We basically are looking for projects that can be accomplished in 4 hours. So it can't be something so large. For instance, Lake Forest Academy had wanted an outdoor classroom, and it's great to bring those to the class and apply. And then what happens is one of us will go out, visit the site, and discuss how we can execute at least a portion of it, if not the whole thing. So I would say dream big and then be willing to be flexible in terms of what can be done. I know that some of the projects that were proposed for this year went forward as is, but some of them, the class tackled a piece of it instead of the entire thing because it simply couldn't be done in the 4 hours. And we did have some projects that were larger in scope, and those projects have been scheduled on multiple days. So the kickoff might be on Work on Wilmington Day, but then they'll have subsequent work days to finish them up. So I wouldn't hold back if you represent a nonprofit or you know of one that needs some assistance. I would go ahead and submit that and just indicate on the application that you're flexible, and we'll talk through options if the entire project can't be accomplished in that 1 4-hour period.
Great, that's super. Are there anyone else has any other questions for Ann today? I just want to thank you, Ann, and all that you guys have done with Leadership Wilmington and Work On Wilmington, not just to help us, but help all these groups out there that could just use a little bit of hand, and also offer an opportunity for the community to get engaged with some of these organizations. So we want to thank you, and we want to thank everybody for attending. I hope you'll join us again next week. We're going to have a really special program. It's going to be looking back and looking forward with our founder and retired executive director, Camilla Hurlovic, and our new executive director, Walker Golder. We're going to talk a little bit about the land trust, where we've been and where we're going. On May 21st, we're going to talk about forestry for conservation. On the 28th, we'll talk about Masonboro Island and give you an update on the sea turtles down there. And then June 5th is our Fly Trap Frolic. With the most recent loosening of the restrictions, we've decided we're going to offer small guided tours in the Rehder Garden this year on June 5th. So keep an eye out on Facebook, on our e-news, on our website. Mark your calendar for June 5th, and information will come out for you guys so you can join us for that. So again, thanks everybody for being here today, and we hope to see you guys next week. Have a great Friday.
Thank you.